Hello, everyone. Kev McMahon here with the head coach of the High Point Panthers soccer team, Zach Haines. First of all, Zach, how are you and everyone doing where you are?
We're all good. We're all good. I'm here with my girlfriend and my dog, Seth. We're hanging in there. He's loving it. He's getting more attention than he's ever received in his entire life, all day, every day. So he's the happiest one in all this. But yeah, we're very fortunate. We've been able to keep working and continue to keep life as normal as possible. And then my family that are all here in North Carolina, everybody's doing well. And so I consider myself very fortunate in all this in terms of how life has progressed, while I know there's a lot of people out there that are really struggling. So grateful that even during a challenging time that we have our health and we have our jobs and we have our life together. So yeah, it's been tough, but positive overall for us.
Yeah, I wanted to check on Seth. I wanted to make sure he was doing all right, so that's good to hear. But a lot to talk about with you, but and a lot to be excited about when it comes to the future. But it was your first year as head coach of the High Point Panthers last year. So let's start with kind of your overall thoughts on the season. Went to the championship game in your first year, kind of your overall thoughts. Now having a little time to kind of think about everything.
Yeah, we felt like there were a lot of positives from year one. It's always going to be a transition for the staff. It's going to be a transition for the players and the program. But as far as looking back at year one and drawing positives and looking towards the future, things that we've learned from, we certainly felt like we got things going in the right direction. We feel like there's a foundation there that we can build on with new guys coming in, with the current guys having an understanding of what we're looking for. And you can look to results. You can look to how the season went in particular. We do feel like we had a successful season in many respects. Anytime you can win 13 games in Division I soccer, you know you've done some things right. Of course, we would have liked to make it another NCAA tournament appearance. We felt like our season on the whole and the tough schedule we played and the success we had, we felt like we were thereabouts. Obviously fell a little bit short in the title game against Campbell, who had arguably their best season in school history. So huge credit to them and the job they did. But we look back and we try not to focus too much on the results, too much on the number of wins, too much on the championships or not, or the NCAA tournament or not. We try to look more at where the program's heading and the culture that we're trying to create to be able to reinforce that, strengthen that moving forward. We also look at the personnel and the team and the student athletes, how they're doing on and off the field. We were able to increase our GPA each semester, well above a 3.0. The guys, in terms of their behavior off the field, they've represented the program really well, and they've also come together, and we feel like increase their bond as a team, their understanding, their communication, and just the way they operate on a day-to-day basis and their approach. So there's a lot of things that are more micro, and then there's a lot of things that are more macro. But overall, we're happy as a staff with a lot of the things that we put in place, and we feel like it's going to set the tone for the future. Of course, there's some games we'd like to have back. Of course, we would have liked to notch another championship in NCAA tournament, as I said. But overall, you have to look at the progress, and you have to look at this as a long-term vision to sustaining success year in and year out, not just what can we do in one season. And if you look at it in those terms, we do feel like we are off to a good start as a new group, and we are definitely looking forward to and very excited about the future.
Definitely a lot to talk about when it comes to the future, an exciting future ahead, as you said. But one more question about the past, then we'll focus on that stuff. But if you had to pick a favorite memory from your first season as head coach of the High Point men's soccer team, can you pick one? What would that one be? I know it's a tough question.
That is a tough question. I do think about the Presbyterian game a lot, because I know that was a tough matchup and a little bit of a banana skin in recent years for High Point, and there's a couple of results that happened in a few, a couple championship games with Presbyterian, a couple regular season games, and we had some adversity in that game, and we actually went up a man, but they played really well, and they took it down to the wire and ended up going into overtime, but we found the game winner. I saw that game. Was it our best result of the season? Was it our best performance? Not necessarily, but I think that was a real turning point for the mentality of the group, where they showed a level of resilience that would serve us well for the rest of the season and for the future, to be able to continue to go and not get frustrated with the elements of the game, and to not look in the past at maybe how things went against Presbyterian before, and just to be able to move ahead with that particular game and that particular performance, and find a way to get a result. I think that showed a lot about what the team is becoming. So I like that one for sure. And I look back at the season, and we did have some games where we were able to show different aspects of what we were all about in terms of our identity. But that game, I think, was where we saw the highest level of focus, resilience, and the ability to stick together and not get down on ourselves or one another, and just to push through and find a way to get the job done. So that was the real standout moment for me.
And a great celebration from Jonathan Bolanos once you guys did score. And, you guys really did. You guys were rolling at that point, but after that, it seemed to all really quick for you guys, and you were able to go on your great run that you did go on. But we were talking about it before we got started, but you were saying, while it is a time during, COVID-19 where people are at home, there's still work being done by you and your staff, and it's being nationally recognized. Top Drawer Soccer has ranked your recruiting class number 14 in the nation. What does that mean to you? And, can you use this time to tell us about, the recruits you're bringing in, and kind of you and your staff's process to bring in these kind of recruits?
Yeah, whenever the season was suspended, the spring season, and obviously everyone had to head home, and everything was put on hold because of COVID-19, you can look at it a couple different ways. You can just get too wrapped up in the what ifs. You can start to look ahead too much in terms of what this all means and what direction this crisis is going to take our season in college athletics, et cetera, et cetera. But we just tried to focus on the day-to-day as a staff, and we knew that the two things that we could continue at a high level that we hope will ultimately make a difference in our program being able to come back better than ever was to make sure that we continue to get it right on the recruiting front, and also to connect with our guys, the current squad and the incoming players, as much as we can every single day. And that takes shape in a lot of different forms. But we looked at the recruiting side as something we wanted to continue to attack. We wanted to make sure that we rounded out this 2020 class as best we could. We also wanted to make sure that we could get a quality start to our 2021 class. We already had a few on the board for that class that we're really excited about, but continuing to make headway with the rising senior class, those 2021s. So we just had to stay focused, and we had to make sure that we didn't lament the restrictions we had. Oh, we can't bring guys on campus. We can't go out and evaluate. We had to make the best of the situation, and a lot of that is just communication, being creative, being diligent. And we do feel like that's paid off. And it's great to be recognized by any kind of ranking system or publication. But for us, the most important thing about that class, or this class coming in, is it's a talented group and some guys that we feel like soccer-wise are really going to help us. But we are incredibly excited about the kids just as people, their personalities, their character. They're kids that we can't wait to work with. And when you can have that feeling as a staff, when you've put together a class, and that's really the overriding feeling, is that you just can't wait to work with them, then you've done something right. And we do feel like, yeah, they're a talented group. There's no question. And they bring a lot to the table, and they're going to add to our team for sure. But we can't wait to get them on campus. And these guys are just, they're awesome kids. So the rankings are great. We definitely appreciate it. It's something that we we're proud of in a sense. But I think as a staff, the thing we're most proud of is the work that we put in before COVID-19 to make sure that as best we could, we got it right. We're bringing in the right people into the organization and the right caliber of student athletes. So huge credit to my staff, and they did a wonderful job. And we're still rolling. I mean, that's just the key, is you can't stop recruiting ever. And we've just got to continue to go with the restrictions. And obviously NCAA has some things you can and can't do during this time, but we've got our eyes on continuing to build this squad for the future.
Well, that's great to hear. And I'm sure, you guys are happy, and High Point Panther soccer fans will be very happy to hear that information. Obviously, I got two more questions for you. Obviously, every year you go out there, the goal is a championship. But besides a championship, what are some other things that you have as goals for this upcoming season?
The goals we have for the upcoming season are that we want to make sure that we are reaching high standards on and off the field. So we are always looking for a 3.0 team GPA higher. We're always looking to be involved in the community. We want to pick projects through our leadership group that are special to the group and ones that they're bought into, because we want to give back. We want to be an example for kids in the community, and obviously represent the university as a whole and the great work that's being done, and have a real presence. So those two things are constants for sure. Past that, when it comes to soccer, we want to continue to develop. We want to continue to get better. We want to continue to challenge ourselves. So we've put together another fantastic schedule. It's going to be as challenging, if not more challenging, than last year. And we want to test ourselves against top teams in the country, because ultimately that's where we want to be. We don't look at it too specific in terms of, hey, we have to win this, we have to win that, we have to win this game, we need this number of championships. We know that if we put in the right type of approach, and we bring together the right people, and push them to very high standards, concentrate on the right things, and really work on maintaining and reinforcing our culture every day and our daily standards, we know that will pay off with results. So we try to talk, I know it's a little bit of a cliche, but we do try to talk a lot more about the process and the things that we can control every single day, rather than looking at, hey, this is the record we need to achieve, this is the number of wins we need to achieve, this is how many championships. Those all go without saying. If you come to High Point to play soccer, you are coming to play in NCAA tournament games and to compete for championships. The guys that we recruit and the guys that are interested in High Point, they know that. That goes without saying. So we try to focus on how we're going to get there, and how we're going to be able to do that year after year, and not just be a flash in the pan every 4 or 5 years. The goal is to be able to compete at that level every single year. And there's a lot of things that go into that. So we try to make sure that we're concentrating on those things first and foremost.
Well, Coach, I know we're in the spring, but if you wouldn't know, if you didn't have a calendar in front of you, you'd think it was September. I mean, you seem ready to roll right now.
I'm ready to go. I mean, I don't know when the season's going to start, but we've got a lot of things that are yet to be determined in terms of how this all plays out and the schedule. But I try not to get too far ahead. I think there's probably a lot of coaches that are stressed or nervous. How is this all going to pan out? How can I make sure that my team comes back ready and at the level that they need to be for preseason? But for us, it's just making sure the guys are supported and they feel like that we're in their corner and we have their back, and we're in contact with them every single day. We're trying to help them develop as human beings and be able to deal with this very unique situation. And if we do all those things together, and we do stick together as a staff and as a team, we're going to come out of this, and we're going to be where we want to be ultimately. I'd love to play a game tomorrow. We had a great spring before all this happened. The guys were doing a wonderful job. They were training, they were playing at a really high level. They were doing things the right way. They were coming together as a group, even more so than ever. So there's a lot to be excited about. So I am very excited about the future. And like I said, I'd love to be back. I'd love to start preseason tomorrow. But as a staff, we know we have to just be patient. We have to concentrate on the things that really matter right now. And that's just connecting with our student athletes and making sure that they're in a good place when they come back to us whenever that date happens. And it's awesome to think about what this group can be for the upcoming season and the future beyond that. But we have to do the right things now, and we're just going to continue to focus on that.
Absolutely. All right, because I am a good journalist, I left my hardest question for my last question. Okay, so the NFL draft is tonight. We're taping this on a Thursday. If you had to pick a player on your team to be drafted to the NFL draft, who on your team would be a stud American football player, in your opinion?
I love that question. You are a great journalist, so I love that you have the hard-hitting questions here.
Thank you.
Carson Kindle, tight end, potentially.
100%.
6'2", 195, 200, really athletic, tough, physical. I think he's going pretty high as a tight end.
Yeah, you might want to not say that because he might be entering people's boards right now.
Well, we don't have a football team at High Point, so I don't have to worry about them scooping up any of the guys right now. But yeah, he could get. He'd be a nice play. I know there's a lot of guys back in the day that went basketball to football. You know, a lot of power forwards going either wide receiver, or tight end. But Carson's probably right up there. Off the top of my head, I like him. I also like Alex Averill or Holden Trent for wide receiver as well. The guys will probably make fun of me because they'll say Holden doesn't have the pace or something like that. But he's a goalkeeper, so he should have the hands, and he's long and athletic. So we got a couple guys that could translate, but I'm going with Carson right now on the spot.
Yeah, I like Lala Sayerte on special teams, like a punt return.
Okay, I don't know if Lawless could catch the ball, but if he could catch it, then I think he could return it pretty well. Yeah, he's pretty shifty.
Yeah, well, I just showed my guy some love there. Well, Coach, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you and the team really soon.
Thanks, Boone. Take care.
You too.